Hi lovelies and welcome to my channel. My name is Mariana and you're watching Lucifer's Library. In today's video we are going to be talking about my recent reads. Usually I read at least 16 books, but these 2 months have been so stressful when it comes to school that in August I ended up reading only 1 book, and in September I ended up reading 5, which is better than in August. But August is the worst reading month for me for this year. The only book that I read in August was Goddess by Josephine Angelini. This is the last book in the Star-Crossed series. I don't have it here. I actually lent it to my friend who has 28 books borrowed from me. By the way, I don't let anyone borrow my books except for this friend who I know takes good care of them. I really wanted her to read Star-Crossed. I rated Goddess 4 stars. I think it was my least favorite because it was quite confusing at times. You have demigods, basically. They have powers and there's this prophecy. Not really a retelling, but it heavily focuses on Greek myths such as Achilles, Helen of Troy, and just like these myths that I can't pronounce in English, but I know how to say them in Slovenian. I love it. It's a wonderful way to make people excited about Greek mythology. The next book that I read is in September is Cruel Crown by Victoria Aveyard. This is just a collection of 2 short stories. Honestly, I rated it 2 stars. I loved the Red Queen, but I don't really care about the side characters, and I could have lived without it. Then the next book that I read is Perfect Illusion by Claudia Tan. I have the full review up on my channel, both channels actually. Enemies to lovers, fake engagement, fake dating, I guess, forced proximity type of book that is just really fun to read. Then I read When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Clinici. When Breath Becomes Air is actually a memoir. Anyway, he is dying and he is coming to terms with this news, and he just talks openly about his struggles, his life, his experiences. I loved it. I thought that it was very touching. Book number 4 that I read in September, it is Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I don't have it here. I let my friend borrow it. Honestly, it was a 2-star read for me, but she's kind of like the innocent friend. Like, I haven't given her any romance books yet. She's borrowed a lot of books from me, but I haven't given her like smutty romance. So this was just like a try to see if she likes it. She did read after, but I'm just trying to see what she likes, getting her out of her comfort zone. And for me, that book was 2 stars. It was supposed to be a Hades and Persephone retelling, but honestly, you just switch up the names and you couldn't really tell. The characters didn't have any like special powers except like for the names, and it was like kind of like a mafia romance. It read more like a contemporary book. It was very disappointing. Moving on, the last book that I read, or reread should I say, is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Now, The Hunger Games, it has been my all-time favorite read. I think I read it 6-7 times. I read this book every time before the movie came out, like the entire trilogy. This was one of my favorite books to read. Yeah, it's really high up there, if not one of my top favorites. I would recommend The Hunger Games to everybody. I absolutely loved it even this time around, especially because it's been like 5 years or like 6 years since I read it last. And I did try rereading it last year, but I got like 30 pages in and then I gave up because I wasn't in the mood. And this time I just, I loved it. I loved it. I wish I could go reread it again. I mean, I can, but I want to move on to Catching Fire because I'm just so damn excited about it. Catching Fire is my favorite book, but the first book was still, incredible. Honestly, like, these books are so special to me. Anyway, I wrote down a quote in my September spread, which by the way is really ugly, so I'm not gonna show it to you. But I wrote down a quote because I was watching Rent the other day, which is one of my favorite musicals. And this is a quote from a song that I want to share with you as a reminder. There's only us, there's only this. Forget regret or life is yours to miss. No other road, no other way, no day but today. Rent has such a good soundtrack. I watched it like twice in the past week because I've been just really into it and I can't stop listening to it. And I don't know what happened to me this year, but musicals are all I care about. Hadestown, Mean Girls, Six the Musical, Rent, it's all I've been listening to these days. Headers come from away. So good. Yeah, anyway, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop. Welcome to my October wrap-up. If I manage to read a few more in the days that are left in October, I will be checking in with the next wrap-up. First book that I read is Wicked Fox by Cat Cho. All the books that I am reading in autumn are going to be talked about more in depth in a video where I specifically dedicate to all the autumn TBR books. But you will probably see me repeat myself in several videos when it comes to these books. I rated this book, I believe, 3 stars. I think the pacing of this book was a little bit too slow. I actually quite enjoyed this book. A little bit more now that I finished it than when I was reading it. I think this is a perfect October spooky, atmospheric read, and I also really love the cover. I just love it so much. It's beautiful. I actually finished like the majority of the book in one night, but it took a while for me to really get into the world. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick and I need some liquid to keep on talking. As you have probably noticed, I have kind of been very critical and hadn't enjoyed my reading that much, and for a lot of the books that I read this month, I just haven't been able to enjoy them except for one reread that was already a 5-star read. Next up, I picked up After by Anna Todd, rated it 2 stars, did not enjoy it. I thought it was toxic. Again, I will go into the details in a different video that will probably be up in December or maybe January, where I talk a little bit more about these books, but I rated it 2 stars. I think I will stick to the movies. I was really frustrated with Tessa, and Harden was really cruel, but Tessa kept taking him back and enabling his personality, like his attitude and stuff, and I really wanted to love this. Especially since I do enjoy the movies. They're my guilty pleasure. The last movie, the one that just came out this year, was actually really good when it comes to their relationship growing and their trust growing and communication. But yeah, this is the only 5-star read that I've had this month, and that is Pride and Prejudice. So Pride and Prejudice is a reread actually, and this time around I've enjoyed it a lot more than I did the first time, or the second and the third. It was just really fun, and I got a lot of insight into the characters that I had missed the previous months, the previous rereads, and so this was a fun read. Then I picked up Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. This is me continuing with my Percy Jackson and the Olympian series reread. I started earlier this year, and this was a fast one, so I just included it in this month's TBR. Like I said, it was a fast book, but the second book is my least favorite. I bumped it down from 4-star to 3-star rating. Next up, we have Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. This is the first book in the Bargainer series. This is supposed to be a Hades and Persephone retelling. It's about this guy, the Bargainer, who collects favors, and then people are indebted to him, and then he comes to collect the debts. Our main character has a lot of debt with the Bargainer. Our main character is a siren. The Bargainer is fae. There are werewolves. It just felt bland. It wasn't memorable. It fell flat. There is so much that could have been done, and there should be a trigger warning for rape. There is a lot of rape and non-consensual sex happening in this book, or at least hints of it, and not between the two main characters. I'm not saying they are the ones. Then I picked up Infernal by Lindsay, and I rated this book 3 stars. I read it in 3 hours, and it has 341 pages, so it's a fast read, this one. I rated it 3 stars, but I don't think I enjoyed it that much. It's again a Hades and Persephone retelling. Maybe I'm just not one to read Hades and Persephone, and both of these books do have smutty scenes, but if you don't like the characters or don't feel the chemistry between the characters, they're not gonna do anything for you. I think the Hades in this book is the equivalent of a lamp. His personality is completely non-existent. If it was replaced by a couch, you wouldn't have noticed. There is Hades, there is Lucifer. Lucifer exists,
but like the devil, and Hades is more powerful than Lucifer, but Lucifer is the king of hell. So I don't know, it's confusing. This world doesn't make any sense. There are a lot of plot holes. I don't think that I will be continuing on with the series with either of these two, by the way. There's a lot to be said and I don't have the energy to, so I'm just gonna pass it and leave it there. And the last book that I gave a chance to is New Moon by Stephanie Meyer. This was actually a reread, and I got about I got about 100 pages into it, and I am so bored. I read this book 9 years ago, so I decided to continue my reread. It's boring, and Bella is so annoying with the way she's so attached to Edward, and when he disappears, her entire personality goes with him. I don't like this book this time around. I thought that I would enjoy it, but then again, I never truly loved Twilight as much as other people did. I preferred The Host by Stephanie Meyer over Twilight, so it's fine. I'm not gonna continue my reread of the series because sometimes you just have to know when to stop and not let yourself ruin the memories that you have. Also forgot to mention, I have decided to skip The Darkest Minds and give it to my sister because I didn't really have the interest to read this book. I talked about it in my TBR for October, that if I don't pick it up now, I probably never will. And it's true. I'm not interested in this. I want it to be, but I think if I had picked it up years earlier, I would have read it. And there you have it. These are the books that I have read in October. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you know, if I read any more books, I will talk to you about them in my next video. But with that being said, I am gonna go and enjoy my day. Bye.